Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is Jeremy Smith. Completely unplanned today. I have the Nikon D780 here. And this is definitely not going to be a full review, but since I have the access to the camera today, I wanted to give you guys kind of a quick look at it. Picking up this camera, it feels really similar to Nikon's D750. And I have a 750 here also. You guys can see they're pretty similar in size. Now, one thing I noticed on the 780 is that they sort of reworked the buttons a little bit. So on the 780, we now actually have an AF on button also. So we don't have just like the usual auto exposure lock button here, like on the 750. They're kind of taking a page out of the playbook of the higher end models and giving us that dedicated AF on as well. They also have decided to put a really big emphasis on like video shooting and live view performance. Because you'll notice on the 750, you know, that live view switch is all the way down here. So it's kind of, well, it's kind of more like an afterthought, or it's kind of placed more like you expect to see on, well, a camera from 2014. But with Nikon doing more with video now, having the ability to switch in and out of live view is, you know, very much appreciated if it's more easy to get to. So it's right up here, right below your thumb, so you can quickly switch between your live view for video and your live view for stills. Now, in terms of the live view performance on this camera, it's basically a Nikon Z6. And I don't know if you guys, I'm not sure what order I've posted all my videos in, because sometimes I don't post things in chronological order, but I have taken a look at the Canon EOS 90D lately, and the 90D also got a lot of sort of like mirrorless centric sort of features in that DSLR. And Nikon, they've basically done the same thing with this camera. So for the first time in a Nikon DSLR, we have very fast autofocus. The face and eye detection on this camera works exactly like it does on the Z6. You can toggle between your subject's eyes. Basically, you can do everything that you can do on a Z6 as long as you are in live view. So that's really, really cool. They have also updated the ports on the camera. So basically, whenever we take a look at the connections here, of course we have our microphone and our headphone jack, but now we actually have USB-C as well. And the USB-C connection is a USB 3 connection, so it's very, very fast. Of course we have our mini HDMI. And if you're using the newer ENEO 15B batteries, you actually can do USB charging. So you can see that there actually is a charge indicator there. So not something that you're going to be using for every single time you charge your camera, but it's nice to have this now, you know, just to have some flexibility in terms of what you can do there. In terms of the shooting speed of the camera, you know, very, very similar. This does have the newer X-Speed 6 processor, so that's kind of what's giving us the processing tech to have the face and eye detection. But it does also increase the frame rate of our still shooting as well. So if we go, and let's say we're just shooting with our viewfinder, we actually can go all the way up to a frame rate of up to 7 frames per second, you know, which is very, very nice. And that's a pretty good improvement, well, a modest improvement over the D750, which was 6.5. If you shoot with the viewfinder, if you shoot with the screen and you do electronic shooting, you can do up to 12 frames per second there. So pretty fast, pretty solid performance. Taking a look over at our cards, this camera does use, still has the dual card slots. So thankfully Nikon did not remove the dual card slots from this one like they did the D7500. So you have that, and they are upgraded to UHS-II type card slots, so you do get very nice transfer speeds. One area where people are talking a lot on this camera that I noticed right now, well actually two areas. One area is the fact that the camera no longer has a built-in flash. So that 750, of course, had its nice little pop-up unit there. And that was a nice thing, you know, whenever you're doing like your Nikon CLS wireless, you could use the built-in flash as sort of like an optical commander. With Nikon making a big push to go towards radio-based wireless on the newer flashes like the SB5000, in my opinion, the need for having, you know, a built-in flash is it's not that big of a deal anymore. And of course, if you're doing anything more serious with flash, you're probably using Godox or ProPhoto, and you know, we don't need a built-in flash for that either. So as far as I'm concerned, good riddance to the built-in flash. Now, one other area of controversy on this camera, that's something that's kind of missing, is the ability to use a battery grip. Of course, if you go and look at something like the 750 again, the 750 does have that nice little connector on the bottom that will interface with the battery grip. On the D780, when you take a look at it, you will notice that, of course, there is no such connection. So, unfortunately, no battery grip on this one. Nikon, they basically want you to go up to something like, you know, a D850 or something if you want to have that. They may do something where they sort of like include the sort of like non-control battery grip, like just a battery holder like they did on the Z6 and Z7 for this camera. But of course, time will tell, and we'll see what happens with that. Something else that's kind of neat on this camera is that if you look at your range of shutter speed, this camera actually, I keep pressing that, thinking it's the info button. The info button is over here on this one. If you look at the range of shutter speeds, this one actually does go all the way up to an 8,000th of a second. So that's something that you typically used to only see on the higher Nikons. We do see that now. But the thing that's the big shock, in my opinion, is that this one can go all the way down, much, much lower. So normally, even on high-end DSLRs, you can only go to 30 seconds. But yeah, this one just kind of keeps on going. There's like a setting that says time here. So it's kind of interesting. I haven't played with this any so far. Obviously, this is something I'm going to have to try out at a later date, but pretty cool. I do have a few samples that I've shot with this camera today, and I actually shot a few samples side by side with the D750. Now, Adobe, they have not released their RAW converter yet. You can download the Nikon software and it will open the RAW files. But I am going to be putting a link to some RAW and JPEG images from this camera. You guys can kind of take a look at those and let me know what you think. And let me know what else you'd like to see on this camera, so that way, hopefully next month or so, I'll get this camera in my hands for a little bit longer period of time, and we can look at some things in more detail. So tell me what you want to see there. And also, don't forget to follow me on social media. I am Photog Jay the Great. I post quite a lot of Instagram stories of things I'm going to be testing as time goes on, so be sure to check out all that. And you know, be sure to subscribe to the channel, as I will be posting more videos about this camera in the future. Until next time, this is Jeremy Smith, signing off.